to the ISO JTC1 video series on what have standards ever given to us? Well, today I'm here to provide an overview of the role of project editor. In ISO, as a member of a committee such as JTC1, you may be asked to be a project editor, as I was for PC 317. Or you may be interested in volunteering to take on this role. And in some situations, you may already be a project leader, and then for certain reasons, you may also need to take on the added role as project editor. But in a nutshell, a project editor is responsible for managing the editing, naturally, and revision of standards documents. And these documents could be an international standard, it could be a technical specification, or a technical report. But even if you are new to JTC1, I want to impress upon this. As a project editor, you will have access to a wide variety of resources for carrying out your role. This could be, for example, establishing an editing committee or taking on a co-editor to help out. Also remember that the committee chair, the working group conveners, as well as the members themselves are there to support you. There's a wonderful community in JTC1. There are also plenty of resources on the ISO portal to help you learn how to write standards and submit your draft. This is using the ISO templates and model. In fact, there are even ISO Central Secretariat program managers and editors who are resources that are assigned to provide guidance concerning the implementation of the directives, and that includes drafting of documents. As with any of the leadership roles in JTC1, the project editor must carry out their role in a neutral, impartial capacity. It's difficult, but as a project editor, you cannot, take on your national point of view at this point. However, the project editor may have to act in an expert capacity or a consultant when required if technical matters become an issue during the drafting stages. Now then, as part of managing the overall editing and revisions of the document as it goes through its phases, a project editor is expected to not just collect and address all comments, but you're also responsible for physically editing the document, whether it's the document, text, or even diagrams, figures, and then, of course, submitting the required drafts on time. From experience, I'd like to share some qualities that I believe are important to be a successful project editor. What comes to mind is being a good listener, being diplomatic and open-minded, being confident in making a decision where there may be an impasse among the members. So if you consider yourself a consensus builder with good facilitation skills to manage the review of comments, then these are additional qualities that you can add to your success as a project editor. Because you are working with subject matter experts from all around the world, it's also good to have some knowledge of the topic that is being documented. Being a clear thinker and writer is a definite plus. As project editors, we always have to remind ourselves that the standard will need to be understood by many cultures and those whose first language is not English. It's so important that the language be unambiguous. I can't emphasize this more. This is not often easy, but it's so important to use plain language. Another quality is that you want to be selfless. Why? Because you need to encourage participation and feedback during the discussions of the draft and the disposition of comments. Now, you may be wondering, well, how much of a time commitment is required for this role as project editor? Well, document drafting stages are linked to the term of the project, which is generally 3 to 4 years. During this period, the amount of time to manage the editing and revisions will often depend on many factors, such as the scope of the project document, the number of experts and different perspectives involved, the complexity of the domain or subject matter. In my case, as a project leader, the subject matter required a paradigm shift in thinking, and this resulted in an extensive volume of comments to manage at each of the drafting stages. But all this being said, there is value in serving as a project editor. You not only learn new skills, but you also have the opportunity to sharpen existing skills over and above those that are traditionally linked to an editor. For example, project management, communication, facilitation, and building consensus, to name a few. If you're at the early stage of your career, this experience allows you to build your leadership competencies, project management, communication, and organizational skills. I think the best part, at least for me, is meeting and forming lasting relationships with professionals from all over the world who are experts in their field and who contribute, each and every one of them, to the camaraderie of JTC 1. I hope this overview tweaks your interest in exploring becoming a project editor. Thank you.